Next, you're going to hear from someone who knows all about the fine line between pleasure and pain. He's former Mr. Universe, former Mr. Australia. Look, he's got so many belts, it's almost embarrassing. But he's hung them up to do what? No, what? It's the branding.
For minute 30.
Rick Goddard?
Yeah, Darren Petty. And is this you, former Mr. Tasmania?
Yeah.
And Mr. Australia?
Yeah. So we're at the ABC with Rick Goddard, and we're going to lay down some radio time for Luke and the documentary.
You need to get behind the microphone, Darren.
This one over here. So number 3, about that far away from the mic. And have you been hanging out with Sarah Cooper a bit? Yeah.
You know everything.
She's a very good friend of mine.
She is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman. And we're on in 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's 18 to 6 on 936 ABC Hobart. Darren Petty, you might know him from his jiu-jitsu career, got to the top of that, Mr. Universe, Mr. Australia, Mr. Everything. But what do you do when you hang up the belts? Turns out he's following around someone who you hear from quite often at this time of day. Hi, Darren.
Hi Rick, how are you?
Very well, thank you. What made you hang your belts up? Or your gloves, or your shoes?
Mate, I did competitive bodybuilding for a long time, got to the top. Mr. Tasmania, Mr. Australia, Mr. Universe in Germany. Then I took on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and reached as far as I could get in that personally, and have recently hung the boots up in that, and now I'm a filmmaker. I love the process of capturing memories. I love the process of editing. I feel that with social media these days, it's fantastic to be able to display those memories.
And are you unrelenting as a filmmaker as you were as a bodybuilder and trainer?
I used to put 20 hours a day minimum into bodybuilding, jiu-jitsu, put my life into it and put everything aside for it, and I do the same thing now for filmmaking. Yeah, it's 20 hours a day filmmaking.
He's filming now.
Right.
As we're talking about filmmaking, he's filmmaking it. It's so ironic.
Filmmaking the filmmaking.
You're following Luke Jackson, boxer. How long have you been following his work for?
I met up with Luke 4 months ago, and we decided to do a 3-day shoot to make a documentary style film for him. It's now been 4.5 months. He's one of the most inspirational, if not the inspirational person I've ever met.
You must have met a lot of inspirational people.
I've met a lot of inspirational people all over the world through social media and travel, and Luke is an amazing man, and his story, which will be out on Saturday night, and we're broadcasting it free from Action Fitness Centre in Moona. Some of it he hasn't even seen himself. He hasn't even seen the fight from the Olympic Games. He can't watch it. And
why can't he watch it?
It's hard for him to relive the moment. He'll be disappointed in his performance because he at the time he didn't know. He was misdiagnosed with suffering from anxiety. Has since come out with being diagnosed with OCD.
I spoke with him about that just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, yeah.
And he was being treated by his doctors for anxiety, and it played a big part in his performance at the Olympics. And he has since never watched that fight. And it's on the doco. I've cut it and edited it.
And that's a fight that he won a bronze medal in?
No, he won the bronze at the Commonwealth Games.
Commonwealth Games, the Olympics.
In the Olympics, he came out in London, 2012.
That's right.
And fought a 3x3 minute fight, and didn't perform to his best.
Yeah.
And it came down to his preparation, which was tainted by the OCD. And since he's just recently come out about it, and he's been treated properly for his condition. But look, his life, when we go through his memorabilia and all this stuff, he is reliving it as we film it. It is phenomenal. The amount of accolades the guy has, one of the most inspirational Tasmanians you'll ever meet.
It's 5:45 on 936 ABC Hobart. You're listening to former bodybuilder Darren Petty, who is now a filmmaker and releases on Saturday a documentary that he's made about Luke Jackson's life. Darren, sports docos are hard to keep original and hard to keep real. Now, when you've got someone like Luke Jackson at the heart of it, that's a plus, because his story is pretty extraordinary, his background is very difficult, his triumph over adversity tale is amazing. How do you as a filmmaker though tell the story and avoid all the cliches?
The way we've made the film with Luke is to stay raw. It's the most important thing. His story it'll bring you to tears. The early part of the story will bring you to tears, but then it's really a story of a young man going through adversity and achieving one of the biggest triumphs of all time, which is the Olympic Games. But besides the Olympic Games, he just lives an inspirational life, day in, day out, never stops. And once boxing's up for Luke, who knows? It's going to be an amazing story to tell even more.
And is that part of a decision he's facing at the moment with boxing?
Luke's publicly come out and said that if he loses a fight, he will retire. He has an amazing gym in Action Fitness Centre in Moona that will keep him busy. But also he's going to be into public relations. He'll be travelling the world. You know, he's got an amazing story to tell a lot of people, and hopefully this documentary is the start of that.
As a bodybuilder, Darren, partly what you do is create images of yourself all the time, you're perpetually imaging yourself telling your own story.
Sure.
What's it like for you to now be stepping away from that and doing that for other people?
Part of the inspiration for me being a filmmaker, I've made a documentary on a phenomenal guy in Victoria, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend. I've made a documentary in Brisbane on a guy from Brazil, a documentary film on the Australian Girls in Geese, run by Jess Fraser in Melbourne. His
What's
stories,
that? The Australian?
The Australian Girls in Geese. So it's an outfit of girls that come together and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just with girls.
Right.
So the last camp that I went to, there was 300 odd women in Melbourne, and I followed the camp, stayed with the 300 girls for a weekend and captured the behind the scenes of what they're up to. I'm going to Bali with those guys at the end of the year. We're going to film again. I want to see the stories of the people that are doing things a little bit differently and have come from a tough background. Luke is the pinnacle of that. Luke's the first documentary style film I've made in Tasmania. There's a few more that I want to capture of a few different people, but I mean, Luke's the guy. He's an amazing man.
You said you're broadcasting the film as well as screening it at the Action Centre on Saturday, so how can people see the broadcast?
It'll be on my YouTube channel, so if you just search up and subscribe to Darren Petty Films on YouTube, we're also going to lay it down on my Facebook page and share that around that way. It'll be for free. The reason why, and I've been asked a lot, why we are broadcasting this for free, it won't be sold on DVD, there'll be no profits made from the film whatsoever, is because I want as many people to see this as possible. It'll help a lot of different people in their life at the moment that are struggling, that think they can't do it, because I'll tell you now, if Luke can do it, and even myself, like I've come from a very similar background to Luke. If we can do this type of stuff, anybody can. And I mean that, anybody can. That's where we're coming from with this.
Darren Petty is the name to look up online for the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, Darran Petty. And you can see that film Saturday, what time?
We're going to start at 6 p.m. the Action Fitness Centre, and we might even Snapchat it. Luke and I are very avid Snapchatters, so look us up, Darren W. Petty and Luke C. Jackson on Snapchat. Do a few sneaky Snapchats if you're not in the building.
The technology my nieces use, I just decided to stay away from it to keep it free for the young people.
No comment.
It's 10 to 6, thanks, nice to talk to you, Darren.
Thanks, Rick.
Cheers, I've got weather in 10 seconds, so great to talk to you.
Lovely. Photo?
It's great.
It's lovely to meet you.
Come around, lovely to meet you too, great work. Photo.
Money, quick.
I'll be talking while we have the photo, that's right.
On the safe zone today.